Coming up on Mountain News this morning, nerves are high in our nation's capital after a White House official tested positive for COVID-19. And back here in Kentucky, many businesses will be opening their doors to the public again for the first time in weeks. We talked with one car dealership about how that will be done. And when you think about rescue animals, many picture dogs or cats, but what about squirrels or deer? One rescue in Perry County does just that.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning, I'm Lacey Roberts, and thank you for joining me on Mountain News This Morning. Today is Monday, May 11th, and over this weekend we had those chilly temperatures come through, and they're here this morning and possibly into tomorrow morning. Let's bring in Brandon Robinson to talk about how long they'll be here and when possibly we can see some of that sunshine, Brandon.
Listen, I think we'll see some maybe midweek, but until then, it's cool temperatures and back and forth with the cloud cover. Let's take a look and see what's going on this morning. This morning, not too bad. Buffalo Mountain, you can see just a few clouds there in the distance, but for the most part, it's drying out pretty quick this morning, and I think most of us will be okay to start the day. It's a little bit later on when we'll say again those cloud cover chances for cloud cover start to increase. Temperatures this morning in the 30s and 40s. Most folks there in the upper 30s there, low 40s across parts of the area. Jackson has to get to 39. We're down to 41, so we've dropped 2 degrees in the last few minutes to break the record. The record is 40. Can't remember exactly what year it was set back in, but I know the record is 40. So a normal day on the coffee meter, and maybe just a little bit extra because it's Monday and some spots are just a little cooler this morning. So keep that in mind as you head out the door today, though. 54, breezy at times. I think we'll make it feel even colder than that 54, and then we'll see some sunshine early and then mainly cloudy skies as we head deeper into the day. Lacey.
Thank you, Brandon. Vice President Mike Pence has tested negative for coronavirus after his press secretary contracted the virus. Kate Miller is at least the second person around the administration to test positive, and it's caused a shakeup at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. At least 3 top officials are now self-quarantining as a precaution. Today, President Trump holds a Rose Garden press conference with the focus on testing. CBS's Ian Lee has the latest.
It is scary to go to work.
White House economic advisor Kevin Hassett said he'd feel safer at home after some aides tested positive for the coronavirus.
It's a small, crowded place. You know, it's a little bit risky, but you have to do it because you have to serve your country. 3 top health officials, including Dr. Anthony Fauci, are now quarantining on some level after coming in contact with at least one of them.
Reopening.
Meanwhile, President Trump's economic team hit the Sunday talk shows to discuss the pandemic's financial toll.
There's a considerable risk of not reopening. You're talking about what would be permanent economic damage.
Hassett says the White House is closely watching states that have reopened.
We're watching very closely what happens to those states get their economies up relatively quickly. Does the opening of the state lead to a new outbreak of the disease?
Yesterday, a model the Trump administration uses increased its projected death toll after seeing more people moving around.
Just explosive increases in mobility in a number of states that we expect will translate into more cases and deaths, in 10 days from now.
Today, Arizona becomes the latest state to allow restaurants to reopen.
It's been hard not to see everyone.
Aioli Gourmet Burger removed some booths and put up barriers, but owner Tommy D'Ambrosio says serving fewer customers will be tough.
When you have to limit your capacity, it really makes it difficult to be able to make just enough money to still keep the lights on.
Halfway around the world, Shanghai Disneyland reopened today with limited visitors. It had been closed since January. Ian Lee, CBS News.
All witnesses for Tuesday's Senate Health Committee will now testify remotely. 2 of them and the committee chair are in quarantine after being exposed to coronavirus. Committee chair Senator Lamar Alexander announced the change Sunday night. It affects the Assistant Health and Human Services Secretary and Dr. Anthony Fauci. The other 2 witnesses were already scheduled to join by video conference. Their CDC head, Dr. Robert Redfield, and Food and Drug Administration Commissioner, Dr. Stephen Hahn. Fauci, Redfield, and Hahn were all exposed to coronavirus at the White House. And here in Kentucky, Governor Beshear did not give a briefing last night because of Mother's Day. That means that as of this morning, the most recent numbers for COVID-19 cases here in Kentucky shows us that at least 6,400 Kentuckians have contracted the novel coronavirus. At least 300 people have now died due to complications from the virus, and at least 2,300 people have recovered from coronavirus statewide. And today is a big day in Governor Beshear's Healthy at Home initiative, as we see changes today as part of Phase 1. One of those changes is that Kentuckians are now required to wear a mask when in public. Also beginning today, manufacturing can reopen, along with pet grooming, and horse racing can resume, though with no fans. Phase 1 continues on May 20th when retail stores will be able to reopen. In-person church services were initially in this phase as well, but began hosting services yesterday after a federal judge struck down the state's ban on those services. This phase ends on May 25th when salons and other similar services can reopen. And of course, all of the moves to reopen are made under the requirements that businesses follow proper sanitization and social distancing guidelines. If you want to learn more about Phase 1 and Phase 2 of the Governor's Healthy at Work initiative, you can find that on our website at WYMT.com. And car dealerships across the state will open their doors to foot traffic today, but things will look a little different. Walters, Mazda, Mitsubishi in Pike County has equipped its showroom with shielded desks and will require customers to practice social distancing. Vehicles will be sanitized between customers, and employees will no longer accompany drivers during a test drive. Even bringing back employees is a process.
And then we're also just phasing employees back for not only the health of the public, but also the health of the employees too, by limiting the number that are here working.
Walters says employees are ready to get back to work, and some of them will not have to wait long. The showroom will reopen today at 9 a.m. And the Great Smoky Mountains National Park has reopened, but in a limited capacity. And based on how busy the park was Saturday, people could not wait to explore the great outdoors. Overlooks and parking areas were all full, with a long line to get into Cades Cove as the park opened on Friday morning. Restroom facilities are all about that's open at this point, but for people who wanted to see the mountains, they just had to get out.
We got into town last night and figured we'd spend the day exploring and showing them everything.
The park is encouraging you to keep a distance from others and bring your own hand sanitizer. In terms of more reopening, they say they need to monitor neighboring communities from Gatlinburg to Cherokee to see how these communities are handling the virus spread. And as the weather is getting beautiful for enjoying the great outdoors, but sometimes what outside can come inside. Two friends say they were in a cabin in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, when a bear forced open the door and came inside. The Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency says black bears are coming out of their winter hibernation.
Called the owner and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know, what do? There's a bear in here. And he said, what do you mean there's a bear here? I was like, there's a bear in the cabin. I don't know what to do.
The police were called to the cabin, eventually getting the bear out and 3 others away from the porch. And Mountain View Wildlife in Perry County rehabilitates animals, and not just your average dog or cat. WYMT Madison program has more on their newest animal.
We take in deer, possum. That is just a few of the animals cared for at Mountain View Wildlife Rehabilitation.
Rabbits, we've raised bunnies this year. We do tons of squirrels, a lot of squirrels, but basically any mammal.
But their newest addition, a nearly 7-day-old fawn.
This is baby season. We specialize in deer, and we raise them until they're releasable.
Beth Vaughn, the owner, says that process takes nearly 180 days.
We make sure they're hydrated. We feed them unflavored Pedialyte throughout the day, When it's pretty like this, we take them outside, get them some sunshine.
And it does not stop there. The work continues as they feed the animals up to 4 times a day.
We make sure they have the right probiotics, the right fats, calories, things specific for this species.
Vaughn's love for animals, which formed at an early age, makes it worth it.
Because these are so hard to raise. Wild animals are nearly impossible. So when we successfully raise them from baby to adulthood and see them go into the wild, it's happy tears.
No matter how big the challenge, it is all done in a labor of love. In Perry County, Madison Pergram, WYMT Mountain News.
Vaughn has a permit through the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife to do this type of work. We have how you can help Mountain View Wildlife Rehabilitation care for their wildlife on our website at WYMT.com.
6:13 on this Monday morning, and we're seeing the clouds gone away for now, at least. I think they'll start to increase as we head deeper into the morning. Temperatures in the 30s and 40s. 41 right now in Jackson. If we get to 40, we'll tie the all-time record. If we get to 39, we'll break it. But you see there a lot of upper 30s showing up across the region, especially some of those sheltered valleys. 36 here at the house in Letcher County today. Still chilly. We'll see clouds mixing with some sun at times. Tomorrow, mainly cloudy, a little bit warmer though, and then mostly cloudy as we head into Wednesday, and scattered chances for rain return. Lacey.
Thank you, Brandon. And thank you for joining us on Mountain News this morning. More news is on the way. Coming up, we take a look at a study that hopes to figure out why children seem to be less impacted by COVID-19.